Welcome to Dental Wife Life. Whether you're married to a dental student or a dentist, navigating the unique challenges of a dental family can feel lonely. You're not alone, and this podcast is a space created just for you. Here we share real stories, honest conversations, and practical tools to help you navigate everything from dental school stress to practice ownership, family transitions, and finding your own identity along the way. We are here to validate your sacrifices, challenge outdated roles, strengthen marriages and practices, and build a community of women who support each other. We'll get out of survival mode and learn to thrive together. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Dental Wife Life. Today, I wanted to talk about a message I received from a listener that I wanted to share with you guys because I know she's not the only one who has experienced this. So here's the situation. She and her husband, they own a dental practice. She's a hygienist, and when they purchased their first practice, she wanted to be involved, but she quickly felt pushed out because of the negative stereotypes that come with being the dentist's wife. She felt judged. She felt like everything she did was viewed through that lens, and eventually she just backed away completely. In her words, she was bullied out of involvement. Now, 8 years later, they're buying another practice and they close in just 2 weeks. This time she wants to be involved, but she's hesitant for good reasons, right? She doesn't want a repeat of events. She doesn't want the team to see her as someone who just flutters in and out of the office looking for something to do. And honestly, I think there are so many lessons for everyone in this story. I think we're all wondering, how do you contribute without becoming the villain? So let's talk about it. One thing I want to say right away is that I understand why she pulled back. The stereotype of the dentist wife is real. Sometimes spouses come into a practice and immediately start making changes. Maybe they inadvertently bypass managers or undermine the current leadership structure. Sometimes they have authority but no defined role. And when that happens, teams can become defensive. When people have seen one bad example, they often assume that every dentist spouse is going to be the same way. So, the moment a wife walks into the practice, people start making assumptions. They assume she's here to spy, she's here to criticize, that there's going to be lots of drama. And while that's unfair, it's hard to blame people for thinking that. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to shrink back because many dental spouses bring tremendous value to the practice. We are not here because we're bored. I can think of plenty of hobbies that I could pick up that would cause me a lot less stress. We're not here because we want power. You really don't find power in the dental office. We're here because we care deeply about the business, the patients, and the future of the practice. This listener specifically is a hygienist. She has clinical experience. She understands dentistry. She understands patients. She understands systems. And those are really valuable skills. The fact that she's married to the owner does not erase that. But even if you don't have any clinical background, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be involved. Let me be really clear about this. Everyone has to start off in the dental field with no experience. I have yet to meet anyone born with dental experience. And you are no different. Everyone has to start somewhere. Being the dentist wife is no different. So give yourself grace. I think one of the biggest mistakes dental spouses make is assuming they have to choose between two extremes. Extreme number one is you're involved in everything. Essentially, you're the office manager. You're involved in every detail from employee issues, patient complaints. You know all the roles, all the systems, the software. You track all the KPIs, handle the trainings, and the new employee onboarding. The second extreme is no involvement. It's just your husband's job. You never step foot in the office except to either bring him lunch or to get your teeth cleaned. There is a whole lot of options in between. And the best part is you get to decide what that is for you. I think a really great place for me is just somewhere in the middle. I like being involved, I like having responsibilities, and I like making meaningful contributions, but I also have boundaries that allow for flexibility for our family. And what I've learned over the years is that the real issue isn't involvement, it's unclear involvement. When employees don't understand your role, they create their own story. Is she the boss? Is she not the boss? Can she make decisions? Can she fire people? Should I listen to her? Should I ignore her? And that confusion creates a lot of anxiety, and anxiety starts to create resentment. So clarity creates the trust in the office. If I were sitting down with this listener, one of the first things I tell her is you don't need permission to contribute, but you do need to clearly define that role. So let's think about who she actually is. She's a hygienist, she's an owner, she's a business partner, she's an investor. These are legitimate reasons to be involved. So instead of asking, should I be involved? The better question is, what am I going to be responsible for? Because when people know your lane, they're much more comfortable with your presence. Maybe she owns marketing. Maybe she owns office culture. Maybe she owns patient experience. Maybe she owns hygiene systems. Maybe she owns recruiting. Whatever it is, just define it, write it down, communicate it, and then stay in your lane. Now, one thing to note, as the needs of the business adapt, your responsibilities will change. Your confidence will grow with the experience, and you will definitely find yourself forced to learn different roles like billing or even dental assisting. Let's talk about this specific practice because I see opportunities everywhere and it makes me so excited for this couple. They have scheduling holes. The previous doctor went out of network too quickly. The practice isn't advertising. The signage isn't visible. And the signage doesn't even clearly identify the office as a dental practice. To me, these are all such great opportunities. And the beauty is that many of them don't even require anything so drastic that it feels like you're rocking the boat. These are just quick wins that require improving systems. One mistake many owners make is assuming growth comes with overhauling a practice overnight. And while that can be really tempting, especially in a practice with lots of potential, sometimes growth comes from fixing the fundamentals. Patients won't schedule if they don't know you exist. Patients can't find you if your signage isn't visible. Patients won't return if nobody follows up, and patients won't schedule their own recall when they're overdue. If it were me, my first 30 days would be all about observation. Honestly, the first 30 days are so overwhelming anyway. And so I'm giving you that permission right now. Just take it all in. I know that's not very exciting. I know everyone wants to come in and start fixing things. Observation is one of the most underrated leadership skills. For the first month, I would focus on learning, learn the names, personalities, workflows, learn the bottlenecks or the issues, learn what frustrates the employees, find out what patients are complaining about, and also learn what's already working because every office has things that they're doing well. I would avoid making any major staffing decisions and I would avoid trying to overhaul every system. I would also resist the urge to swoop in and become the hero. That one's really hard for me, especially because when I see a problem that I can solve with a system that I could just implement, it's so hard to look past it. But instead, become the student. The best leaders spend time understanding before they start changing. Now, after you've observed, then it's time to look for those quick wins. And this practice has some really obvious ones. So let's start with the signage. If patients drive by and they don't even know you're a dental office, that's a problem and such an easy marketing fix. Next, I would look at Google. Are the reviews current? Is the profile complete? Are the photos updated? Can patients easily find the office? Can they call with just one click? Can they request appointments? Things like that directly affect patient flow. Next, I would look at patient reactivation. This office already has patients. The previous owner spent years acquiring them, and many of them probably haven't left forever. They've simply just drifted away. Call them, text them, email them. Sometimes practices spend thousands of dollars trying to attract new patients while ignoring hundreds of existing patients who are already familiar with the practice and the staff. And a new doctor is a perfect time to kind of pique their curiosity and motivate them to come back. This is just low hanging fruit. One thing I want to talk about with this office is their front desk situation because I feel like it's so common. They had two front desk employees, and one they had already planned to let go, but then the other one gave her notice. So now they're left with the employee that they originally had planned to replace. While initially this can feel really discouraging, I actually think the listener dodged a bullet here. Transitions create uncertainty, and the people who leave might surprise you, and the people who stay might end up surprising you even more. Sometimes employees who struggle under previous leadership thrive under new leadership. Sometimes your biggest supporter becomes your biggest challenge, and who you thought would be the biggest challenge is your biggest supporter. You just really don't know yet. While being overstaffed is hard, you luckily were spared from making any permanent decision immediately. And you get the chance to observe, coach, train, evaluate, and then decide. The goal isn't to keep someone forever. Definitely don't keep someone because you're afraid of turnover. The goal is to make informed decisions rather than reactive ones based on assumptions. Now, let's get to the part that I think this listener and really all of us are worried about. How do I avoid becoming the wife? My first piece of advice is don't bypass leadership. If you have a manager, use her. Many managers feel threatened by the wife kind of taking over. And as humans, feeling threatened makes us feel defensive. When we feel defensive, we react and we do not show up as our best selves. That's just plain old human nature, right? We've all felt that before. Go out of your way to help the current leadership, whether it's an office manager or a lead assistant, help them to feel appreciated and valued. Nothing destroys trust faster than employees feeling like current leadership structures don't matter. Second, don't correct employees in the hallway. I feel like this is obvious, but just in case it's not, I just want to put it out there. There are much better ways to handle situations that come up. For me, if I see a situation, I develop a system. I'll teach the system to everyone in a team meeting, and then I start to work on the individual level for holding people accountable to those systems. One example of that is when we took over the practice, we had a huge cell phone problem. Just everyone had their phones, everyone's just sitting on their phones scrolling. We really struggled with what we were going to do and how we were going to handle it. And we wanted a no cell phone policy upstairs. We have a break room downstairs. And that seemed really extreme to implement just right at the get go. And so after a few months, we did kind of talk about how it was a problem. Everyone saw it as a problem. Everyone knew it was a problem. It's not like people aren't aware that other people are on their cell phones or taking really long bathroom breaks and posting to Snapchat and hanging out in sterilization while they're on their phones. These are things that everyone on the team saw. So we talked about it as a team in our staff meeting and talked about how it affected patient experience, morale, because you're like, oh, I'm running around with my head cut off and so's on Instagram, and just how it's not the type of environment we wanted to create for our team. And so we were implementing a no cell phone policy. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone on the team struggled with having their cell phone, but it's something that we rolled out for the whole team. And then I was able to work with individual employees that maybe struggled with this more and hold those people accountable to these systems. We've done the same thing for like handoffs, sterilization techniques, different errors that were being made in the office. We implement a system, we teach it to the entire team, and then we hold people accountable as individuals to those systems. Third, work together with your husband in this leadership role. Don't do things behind the scenes that everyone thinks that he did. Be a team. If you're making decisions, everyone should know that you're making decisions. If you're not making decisions, everyone should know that too. And definitely do not undermine your spouse. Even if you disagree or if you're frustrated, have those conversations privately. The team really should see unity. Finally, be consistent. Don't disappear for 6 months and then suddenly show up demanding changes. Consistency is what builds trust, and people become more comfortable when they know what to expect. I think the most important part of today's episode is the goal isn't to stop being the dentist wife. You are the dentist wife, and that's not changing. The goal is to become known for more than that. Build your own reputation. When I first got involved in our practice, I worried about this exact same thing. I was worried that people would only see me as Dr. Bishop's meddling wife. And honestly, maybe they did in the beginning. I wouldn't blame them. We have an entire generation of stigmas to rewrite. But over the last 5 years, I have been able to pave a way into my own role. It's changed over time and it's evolved as the needs of our practice has evolved. I was able to build confidence as a leader because that's what happens when you just consistently learn and grow and bring value. The title doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're the dentist wife. What matters is the impact that you make on the team. So, to the listener who sent me this message, here's what I want you to hear. I hope you don't let your experience in practice number one define your experience in practice number two. There is no one who cares about your practice as much as you do. You want to see him succeed, you want the office to succeed, and the office will benefit from your contribution. While completely removing yourself the first time worked in not having any staff turnover, are there any issues that the office has that maybe you could have helped with in the last 8 years? Every office has their strengths and weaknesses, and maybe you lose a few people who feel very strongly about the wives in the practice. I saw a Facebook post about wives working in the practice, and there were people on there. There were such strong feelings in the comments. There were so many that said something along the lines like, I would run if I ever interviewed at an office who had the wife involved. And my initial reaction was kind of like a panic, like, yikes, do people think that about me? And then I realized actually, I really don't want to work with those type of people either. So the feeling's mutual. The type of person who's going to make assumptions about me without even giving me a chance, if people leave the office because they think you're meddling, then I think you're honestly better off without those people. Life is stressful, ownership is stressful, and you really need people in your corner who will match your energy, give you grace, help you succeed. If you're contributing to the office chases them away, then I promise the office is better off without them. You have so much more to contribute than anyone with that kind of attitude. You have an opportunity to build something different, and I'm so excited for you. You just need to build a little bit of confidence, and that comes with time. So go in with a clear role, ease into things, be humble, be willing to admit when you're wrong, or when you make mistakes, show that you are eager to learn and focus on systems before you focus on people. The people might weed themselves out anyway. Don't feel like it's a sign that you're failing if you experience turnover. We have definitely had turnover since taking over the practice. And as I've learned things over the last few years, one thing that I've learned is the people that we have added to our team are amazing, and turnover is not the worst thing to happen to a practice. So spend your first month observing, focus on systems, create clarity around responsibilities, including your responsibilities, and support your leadership team. And remember this, you don't need to justify your presence. You are an owner, you're a partner, you're an investor. You have valuable experience to contribute, and the goal is to contribute in a way that helps the practice grow. If you do that consistently, eventually nobody will be talking about the dentist wife. They'll be talking about the leader who helped build an incredible practice. Thank you guys so much for listening. If this episode resonated with you, send it to another dental spouse who might need to hear it. And if you've navigated a similar situation, I'd love to hear your story because I think these conversations are incredibly important. I'd also love more of these episodes where we discuss problems that you're facing in your practices. So if you have a problem you'd like me to address, please message me. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep showing up.
Thank you for spending this time with us on Dental Wife Life. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or made you feel a little less alone, share it with another dental wife who needs it. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social media so that we can keep the conversation going. You can find us on Instagram at The Dental Wife Life. Remember, your role matters, your voice matters, and you don't have to navigate this journey alone. We'll see you next time.